Hello, and welcome to another episode of Modern Infrastructure Wednesday. Today we're going to be talking about anomaly detection. In particular, looking for anomalies in your infrastructure, looking for oddities that might be occurring in your metrics. We'll have two parts to this. Today we'll cover GuardDuty, and next time we'll cover looking for anomalies via CloudWatch metrics. So in this particular episode, we'll be using Amazon GuardDuty to look for anomalies, particularly against CloudTrail events, and other things like that. And then we'll be connecting that with CloudWatch events to notify us. We could define a callback that becomes a serverless function, so we can use that to actually alert us in Slack. So we'll actually hook this up to Slack via webhooks. If at any point you want to follow along with the code, you can check it out. It's on github.com/Pulumi/PulumiTV. All right, let's get started. So let's start a new Pulumi project. And we'll use TypeScript today. Oops, sorry. Let me make a directory first. Let's call it Amazon. We'll call it GuardDuty. I'll take the default GuardDuty name. We'll call this, a detect anomalies via GuardDuty. And we'll go with the dev stack, and we'll go into, let's go with US East 2 today. So while this is installing our node dependencies, let's fire up Visual Studio in a separate window. All right, and here we go. So we'll open up Visual Studio Code here. Ready to rock and roll. All right, let's make this a little bit bigger. And we want to create some GuardDuty stuff. So let's actually, I don't remember how to do that off the top of my head, so let's look at some documentation. So we'll go to the AWS docs. We'll look for the GuardDuty package module right here, and I'll bump this up in case you can't see. And we want a detector, so let's look at what we need to do here. All right, I'm just going to copy and paste this. Actually, this looks pretty straightforward. Give this a better name though. Let's call it detector. And what else do we need to do? Finding publishing frequency. Okay, I think probably don't need anything there. And then in addition to that, we also want to set up a CloudWatch. So now we have the detector. We also want to set up a CloudWatch event. And this I happen to know off the top of my head how to do. So we'll do a new CloudWatch event. And we want an event rule, actually. So we'll call this like our GuardDuty rule. And we'll look for an event pattern. And we'll look for, in particular, the source of AWS GuardDuty. I'm pretty sure that's right. Let's actually double check that. So let's Google for GuardDuty events. Probably it. Yeah, so we want to look for this particular format of the source. So this CloudWatch event rule that we're creating here will match on any events that match this particular source type, which is the source type here in this particular event that's going to fire. And so now we'll actually have this CloudWatch event rule that we can work against. So this will generate notifications, or CloudWatch events rather, from that detector. And now we can actually create a callback to work against this. So we'll, one way to do this, we could do rule on event. So we name this, GuardDuty callback, and we can actually just give it our handler straight here. So we can actually have this be our event. And this could be, if you look at the typing, this is actually what we expect it to be. It's the event rule event. We can actually declare what we want to do with it here. And we actually want to post this to Slack. So we're going to actually import Axios. And actually need to Axios. So we actually need to make a post call here to do this. And so in our code, what we want to do is we would like to actually, anytime we have an event, notify ourselves that, something happened. So we can do something like this and realize we need a URL here. So let's put in a temporary placeholder here. Let's call it URL and we'll figure that out later. And we'll have the text, Amazon GuardDuty has detected new findings. And let's actually wrap this up. So we can actually see what happens if anything bad happens. And that's it. Actually, this is pretty simple. And so now the question is, how do we get this URL? So what we really want to do is pass in a Slack webhook URL so we can post to Slack. And so if I go back to my browser, you can see I have this handy dandy incoming webhooks thing set up, and I can create a webhook and I can copy it and post it into a channel. So you can see here I'm actually going to post it into this op security channel. So to do that, I probably actually want this to be an environment variable instead of just putting our secret in here, right? So let's actually configure this as a secret. So we will do this, which will give us a config object to work with, and then we'll call Slack webhook URL. We'll require the secret. We'll call it, we'll be not too creative here. Call the Slack webhook URL. And so what you would do here is you would do Pulumi config. Make this a little bit bigger in case you can't see. Pulumi config, and you can see actually I have my little handy little helper here to tell me what stack I'm on. Pulumi config, that's a custom thing you can add. Thanks, shout out to community Slack for telling me how to do this. Community config, Pulumi config, and we'll set the Slack webhook URL to, for now, let's put in a placeholder here, and we'll say secret. So now we have this URL that would be in our application. I would actually normally get that from this page, but don't really want to copy and paste something that you're going to see that'll actually post into our Slack channel. So I'll just put that placeholder there for now. And since we want this to be, so we can't actually pass that into here because this, if you look at this, this is an output, and we're not going to do that here. So what we do want to do is instead, I'm going to actually create a callback function so we can pass in, the URL as an environment variable. So that's actually better from a security perspective as well. So let's do that. We'll create this callback function, and it takes this event type, which, if I recall correctly, was actually I need to look at my types again. So it's a AWS CloudWatch event rule event. Oh, did I misread the type? Is it AWS CloudWatch event rule event? Void. Sorry, this is not typed this way. Actually, it might be. Let's see. So we give it some arguments. So we give it a callback. This will be our event to the actual code I had earlier. Oh, already had that. Let's get rid of this. And now we can actually say give it our event, and we can pass in our environment variables. And now I can give it the thing from up there. So what this will do, let's see. Let me see what's going on here. Oh, it's because I need, this is variables. There we go. So now we have this. Probably should just autocomplete in general. So yeah, okay. And what's it complaining about here? Could be undefined. So, well, we know this is defined, so I'm just gonna cheat a little here and just do that. And actually, I think that's pretty much all we need to do. So at this point, what we've got is we created our little detector, and we have this event rule that actually just looks for these particular events, and then we hooked up this callback function to this rule so that every time this rule fires, we will basically post to our webhook URL that we have new findings, and then we finally hook up this callback to that particular rule at the very end. So we can actually run Pulumi preview here, see what it tells us. And there we go. We'll create all these different resources, and yeah, and then we'll be alerting on any anomalies that that Amazon GuardDuty has detected. Cool. So that pretty much sums up this episode. In next week's episode, we'll actually talk about how to use CloudWatch alarms for anomaly detection, as well as using GuardDuty to detect anomalous behavior in your AWS accounts. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like and subscribe. Also interested in what you want to see for the next episode after the next one, obviously. So feel free to leave some comments. Follow us on Twitter. And yeah, as I mentioned at the beginning, if you want to check out the code, it's available on GitHub. Thanks very much.